So the language is Portuguese, and here you can see that even that we have a huge diversity of ethnicities and cultures, our language is just Portuguese. We rarely see other languages in Brazil, even we have many different ethnicities. And Brazil is very huge, so you can find many different nature ecosystems. In north, you can see the Amazon. It's very famous. It's a rainforest. I live in South Brazil, in the Atlantic rainforest. It's a little different from Amazon, and South Brazil is more colder than North Brazil. It's more close to the South Pole, so we have colder winters also here in South Brazil. And here is the Brazilian territory, the different union states, and here is my state in Paraná, in South Brazil. So ancient Brazil have many different native people. We call them Indians or indigenous people of Brazil, and they have a different languages, different cultures, ethnicities, a huge variety of communities live in all Brazilian territory. And you can see here in the map the different tribes and their names and their languages, the different languages that existed in Brazil before the colonial period. Here you can see some native people. They are very colorful in their costumes and their rituals and their ecosystem of life. And they share many similarities with the Asiatic people. Many historians, they claim that American native people, they are related with Asiatic civilizations. And you can see there is a huge diversity of ethnicities, even in the Brazilian native tribals. You can find different, not only different languages, but also different cultures, different ethnicities among them. And the Portuguese, when they came, they enslaved the native tribals. It was a very difficult and terrible period of our history. And millions of native people were enslaved and forced converted to Christianity in the colonial period by the Portuguese. And that the religion, the Christianity, made an important role on it. But not all the native people accepted Christianity. Most of them refused it, and most of them refused to be slaves. So they enslaved the native people, but they don't really could keep them as slaves because they mostly suicide and they didn't cooperate with slavery. So the Portuguese started to bring the Africans to Brazil. So many Africans, native people from Africa, were stolen from their lands and brought to Brazil as slaves. And in very brutal conditions, they were forced labor and brutally beaten and for the hard work that they need to do. Here is a real picture of a slave and his scars, and they use it to work in all kinds of labor in the farms, sugarcane, and other kinds of labor work. And here in Brazil, so we develop the miscegenation culture. In Brazil, we see many different ethnicities and cultures mixing together, mating. It's a little different from what happened with United States and other colonies, where the colonials and the natives and the slaves, they didn't mate much. But here in Brazil, it was like kind of very common. Like you can see here the different, they name it, the different kind of miscegenations between the European and the native women. So it's Mameluco. And from the European and the African slaves, it's called mulata. And from the African and the native people, is called kafuzo. So they created these castes of the miscegenated tribals and mix it of all the different ethnicities and cultures that happened here in Brazil. And then after that, in the colonial period, also there came a lot of Jews and a lot of gypsies and degrades like prostitutes and thieves, people that are not wanted in the European society in the colonial period. They sent them to Brazil, and they converted the Jews and the gypsies to Christianity, and they became part of also the Brazilian society. And later in the modern times, you can see the coming of the refugees of the World War. After the World War, many Italians and Germans and Polish and other Hungary and other European nations that suffer up from the World War, many poor people of these areas, they came to Brazil as refugees, and millions, especially to the São Paulo province and the southern states of Brazil. My mother family came from Italy in this period as a refugee, and they came in the millions in the modern period from many countries: Italy, Germany, Poland, even Japan. Many people from Japan come to Brazil in this period. So Brazil is a huge miscegenated nation. You can find here any kind of ethnicity and any kind of skin color, and everybody mixed a lot. And also this reflects in our religions. Even that Brazil is mostly a Christian nation, like around half of our population is Catholic and other half of our population is evangelical, Protestants, Christians. We still have a minority, around 8% of the population that follows different religions, most of them based in African religions, because we have a huge African community in Brazil, and they also brought their culture and their rituals and their religion. Even that here in Brazil, it became like mixed. We see that many aspects of African religions, they mix it with Christianity to survive. Like they call the African gods with names of the Christian saints, and they made some syncretism to be more accepted in the mainstream society. They suffer some kind of persecution by some radical Christians, especially evangelicals, but many Catholics and other Christians, they also mix with African religions. It's kind of part of our culture. And you can find also many of different ethnicities and cultures, religions, and beliefs in Brazilian society. Here is a case that I would like to highlight because it has some connections with India. That is Spiritismo. Spiritismo is a religion founded by Allan Kardec. He didn't really wanted to found a religion when he wrote his book, the Book of Spirits. He was a French guy. He was from France, and in France he's not known much, but here in Brazil he's very popular. And his book became like a religion here, that he speaks about spirituality because he had some influence from the Vedas. He read the Vedas and he tried to bring some ideas like karma and reincarnation to the Christian mind. So he wrote this book with a lot of Indic influences about karma and reincarnation, the higher spirits, and communication with different spirits. And it became quite popular here in Brazil, that you can find this Christian group that believes in karma and reincarnation. So yoga, the topic of our talk is yoga. And what is yoga exactly? We usually associate yoga with the asanas, the postures, the practices of hatha yoga. That means mostly asanas, but also pranayama and dhyana, the meditation, is quite popular. So I will include here the terminology yoga, not only about hatha yoga, but also about bhakti yoga and other different kinds of yoga, because the meaning of yoga is about connection with the self or with the divine. So the aspects of asana and pranayama and meditation, it's part of it, but it's also, you can be include that the mantras and the spiritual practices of yoga, and they have many benefits. The yoga, especially to start with the asanas, that is the most common aspect of yoga. The hatha yoga focus a lot in asana, because asana, it's to you have a proper health body and make your inner energies fulfill your higher potential in your body. Like it's kind of very scientific. You can feel it. You can feel the benefits by in your glandular systems that the scriptures call as the chakra systems. And you can feel that it's improved a lot in your health, in your immunity system, in your... I'm a yoga teacher for many years, and I can see the change. I can see the change in my students, how they came in the first class and they have like a face like tired, like from stress, anxiety, depression. And class by class, you see they started to invigorate, they started to feel more youth, more alive, more shining. And this reflects in the skin, this reflects in the hair, and reflects in the shining of the eyes and the smile. So it's amazing to see this transformation in the people, and people feel it. That's why yoga is so popular in West, because you can feel the results. You can practice and you can see the inner change. First in your body, you feel more relaxed, you feel less pain, because people feel a lot of pains because they don't do stretching, they have live a lot of sedentary life, and when they do some exercise they exaggerate, or so yoga, it's a very balanced exercise. So any person, be a youth, be old, be of any age or shape, it can practice yoga and feel the benefits and feel the results, and it's kind of amazing. And it's in the physical level in the beginning, but it goes beyond, because you can see the change and also in your mental activity, in your emotional well-being. You can feel that your mind is more alleviated, less stress, less anxiety, and even depression. All these the modern diseases that are so widespread in today's society. You see that yoga, asana, pranayama, and meditation also, it could give a deep change in the minds of people, even that they don't really realize much about the philosophy or the spirituality. It can feel it, the change, because the asanas, it's perfectly aligned with the glandular system. And that's why you can see a lot of interest about yoga since many decades now in Brazilian society. You can see the first man that became really popular in yoga in Brazil is Hermogenes. Hermogenes, he's already departed now. He's not alive anymore, but he was pioneer in the yoga teachings in Brazil, and he wrote some books and he has some schools of yoga. And his work is really, really great in this spread of the hatha yoga for Brazilian society. In the Jnana yoga and the Vedanta teachings, you can find many also scholars, especially Gloria Ariera, that she's received Padma Shri recently by the government of India. She's a Vedanta teacher, and she has the Vidya Mandir. It's a Vedanta center in Rio de Janeiro, and it's very popular. She have many disciples that they also becoming famous teaching Vedanta in Brazil. And you can find also the Bhakti Yoga, the especially the ISKCON movement, but also the Gaudiya Math, the Vrinda Mission, and other Bhakti movements that are spread in Brazil. You can find some Hindu temples of Krishna that they have mantra yoga and bhajana and sadhana in the Bhakti Yoga system. And many mandirs in Brazil you can find from mostly from ISKCON, but also from other matas. And with the yoga also came the Ayurveda. Ayurveda also became very popular in Brazil. And here is Dr. Ruge. Dr. Ruge, he's Ayurveda Charya from Brazil. He's very famous here in pioneer in Ayurvedic. He have an institute of Ayurveda in Uberlândia, I guess, or Uberaba, I'm not sure. And and he have great projects to spread Ayurveda and Ayurvedic principles, Ayurvedic products, and teachings to the Brazilian community. Here is my Siksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Vana Goswami Maharaj. He came to Brazil preaching Bhakti Yoga since many years, more than 10 years. He comes to Brazil twice a year. Every year he comes to preach Harikatha, and he spends traveling around Brazil. He traveled Brazil more than myself. He's from Bengal, and he comes to Brazil and he preaches Harikatha, very sweet. So he have many disciples around Brazil. Here is Castelinho Gauravani Gaudiya Math, is a castle in Rio de Janeiro that was transformed in a Hindu temple, Krishna temple from Gaudiya Math. It's very beautiful. And also the dances, the Bharatanatyam and the Odissi, the other kinds of Hindu arts and dances also came with yoga and became popular among Brazilian community. So you can find some dance institutes also here in Brazil of Bharatanatyam, mostly Bharatanatyam and Odissi, but also Kathak and other. Here is a funny thing that we have a guru here in Brazil that is Prem Baba. He's not a guru anymore. He had some problems with his reputation because he got involved in a romance with one of his disciples. And she was a married woman, and she got relations with him, and later she accused him and became very scandalous. So he's not a guru anymore, but he was a guru, and he's very famous here in Brazil. And he had an ashram in Rishikesh. And it's also very common to find Brazilians in Rishikesh. I travel a lot to India many years, and the city that you more find Brazilians is definitely Rishikesh, mostly because of the ashram of the Prem Baba, but also because of the yoga in general, because Rishikesh is the capital of yoga, and have the Ganga that it's simply amazing there. So Brazilians really love to go to Rishikesh. So some yogic influences in the West. So I would like to highlight these because I don't know many people realize it, but you can see a lot of influences of the Indic ideas of the yoga in the Western society that is completely revolutionary and changing the Western society since the contact of the England and the other European nations with the India in the colonial era. And they stole it, a lot of the Indic wealth, a lot of the diamonds and the riches, and a lot of gold, and a lot of they calculate like in the billions and trillions of dollars all the richness, they stole it from India. But the biggest richness they stole it from India is the knowledge. And they stole it a lot of knowledge from India. And most of it is not recognized even today. And I would like to highlight some few that I think that is really deep, and it really makes an impact in the Western mind. The first of all is the vegetarianism, and I also include animals' rights and the sacred in nature. Because in the Bible and in the Western society in general, we see a tendency to see the nature as something to conquer. That the Western mindset is that we need to conquer the nature. The nature is savage, the nature is dangerous. So we need to conquer it. And the animals are there to serve us. In the Bible, is described that the animal is there to serve the man, and they don't have soul. And the Indic traditions, they declare different, that the animals, they have soul, they have atma, and they have also feelings. They have also, it's not exactly something that you can throw away or kill as an object, as something that without meaning or without a life, because it has, and it has some emotions and some, it's not exactly discriminated killing. So this impacted a lot the Western mindset, and you can see a lot of the vegetarianism movement, animals' right movement, and the sacred in nature. I see it's a direct influence of the Indic civilization and thought in the Western mind, even that many people don't really realize it. But if it wasn't for yoga and also the Hare Krishna movement, because of the prasad, the Krishna temples, they offer prasad, that it's basically vegetarian food from Indian cuisine. And Indian cuisine is famous for its vegetarian dishes, and it's delicious, and it's completely tasteful. It's full of good spices, and when cooked with offering and with devotion, it's even more special. And these prasad create a revolution in the taste of the people in West, because people tasted something superior. Because it's not easy. I will become, people think I will become vegetarian, what I will eat, salad? They don't feel attractive. But when they see the Indian food, when they see samosa, dal, rice, chapati, roti, the sweets, and everything that you can, different thousands of dishes you can make delicious and feel tasty, and you will feel satisfied. There is no need to something else. So these help it a lot in the Western civilization develop a higher taste in the vegetarianism and go out of the meat addicted, that the West is completely addicted in meat. And here in Brazil, it's very sad situation, like the huge number of the slaughters of animals that happens here every single day. It's so huge. It's completely devastating for the nature, for the environment, and people don't really realize that they are addicted for meat. It's destroying the forest, it's destroying the nature, and we are suffering the consequences, like the virus that we see around, and nobody talks about it. But all these virus, they came from meat eating. The corona, the influenza, the swine flu, the bird flu. It's all karma from the slaughterhouses. Not that people can't eat meat, but if you want to eat meat, at least you eat it with responsible ways, not exactly destroying everything and thinking that everything will be fine. So this is the karma concept, the ahimsa concept. All these create a deep impact in the mass Western mind, and this changed Western society. When the Vedic, the Indic, the yoga influence talks about the spirituality beyond dogma, that we need to become a seeker, not a believer. What we believe is relevant. That is the fact. And yoga make you realize it. even that is not so simple sometimes, but if you do meditation, if you do practice yoga, sadhana, you will realize that what you believe is relevant. You need to realize it in your heart. You need to feel, you need to seeker, not believer only. It's not a matter of faith, it's a matter of realization. And this makes a deep change in the mindset, in the subconscious mindset. And this made us a society more free of dogma, more liberal, more libertarian in the good sense of the word. Open to diversity. That is the dharmic mindset, the unity in diversity. When the yoga teaches about these principles, this can be realized in the heart of the sadhaka, that no matter how we call God or how we claim to follow God, but matter how we shine God in us, how we realize God in us and in the world. And it's more important than what we believe or claim to believe. So these diversity and these they created the liberal society that we live today, and that is more open, that's not narrow-minded like we were before. I could a lot, and you can imagine how much the past 200 years since the interchange between India and West happened. Like Aryan society shocked. Oh my God, how the Indians are so sexual liberated. And these created a huge impression in the Victorian mind that was full of dogma regarding sex, that they became addicted to it, to Kama Sutra. And these changed they make the society in the Victorian society more liberal. But at the same time, they infected the Indian mind with the Victorian morality. So it was an inter-exchange. It was not always fair to India, but it really happened, and it's part of our history. And for somehow I'm part of it because I receive it. I'm benefited by it, as well as the entire Brazilian society. And I think that is what the rishis really wanted to do when they spread the yoga in the ancient times in India, that this knowledge pervades entire humanity. And we have many other influences from West, from yoga, in West from yoga, like the Ayurveda, the Jyotish, Tantra, Vastu, and the other Indic knowledge systems. Ayurveda especially became quite popular now. It's like the fever of the moment in Brazil. It's the Ayurveda. You can find a huge number of Ayurvedic spas and Ayurvedic clinics opening all over Brazil, and it's kind of refreshing to learn that many people are discovering the benefits of the Ayurvedic health system. The spices that India was always famous for it, no? That it's kind of the fever of the Middle Ages, that in search of the Indic spices, that brings a lot of diversity in our cuisine and our food. So yoga is the heritage of the Indic society, is the heritage of the ancient rishis for the entire human society. And it only gives benefit because it opened our inner vision to our inner self, to know ourselves and to really understand what is real in this world. It's not only about asanas. Asana is the start of it, and it's a deeply amazing journey. So I'm always thankful to India and thankful to the yogis of ancient times. a little bit about dhyana, the meditation that we talked before, that it really helps to release our stress, our anxiety, and our depression that is so prevalent in our modern society. So this it's very simple, nah? It's just close your eyes, straight your back, and breathe, and go deep inside. So the meditation, it's really revolutionized the entire perspective of the Western mind, because we stopped to search only to the outside and started to search inside. And this is the most beautiful secret and jewel that ancient riches give to us, that our connection with our soul, with our real identity, and how this can bring us to higher spirituality practices. So this is it. I hope you had enjoyed this talk. I already talked about 30 minutes. So if you have any questions and any queries, I would be happy to answer. Is there any resistance to yoga becoming popular in Brazil? Yes, there is some resistance to yoga. You can see some fanatic Christians. Sometimes they became like a little angry and they use it to spread false claims. It's kind of frustrating sometimes, because they spread a lot of bad narratives about India and in the cultures in general. In 2008, I'm not sure, they have a Brazilian soap opera that was based in India, and it became very popular. It was the Caminhos of India, Caminhos da India. It's the way of India. It based in India and had a lot of characters that are like Indians, and it became very popular and attracted a lot of people to India in those times. But the Christians became very angry, and they spread a lot of, so they chased the videos about the bodies in Varanasi, in the floating in the river, and they spread a lot of fake news about the rapes and tried to associate India with many bad things, and even things that are completely exaggerated, like devil worship. That, you know, some fanatic Christians, how they talk about Hinduism in general. So there is some resistance, but I think it's not big enough. Like, it's not like in the Europe or US. I can think there is more resistance. Even there is more spread than here. What I see here, there's some even yoga people that they distort the narrative sometimes, because they are influenced by ideas like from Indologists. They are influenced by some Indologist ideas like Aryan invasions, and they New Age movements also, and they started to mix ideas, but it's not what we can do. It's part of it. Is the younger generation, the teenagers you've been attracted to yoga vessels, is it a growing trend? If you can share some thoughts, thank you. Well, Darpan, the younger generation, yeah, you can find many younger people, but usually around 15 to 20 to 30. The younger than that is more rare. Um, but yeah, you can find it's very common. You especially the groups like the Hare Krishna movement and Ananda Marga and yoga. There is a lot of youth people, Ayurveda, from many different ages in general. I've had friends from Brazil since 1990s, those who are practicing yoga. What sort of help you need to increase the movement of yoga, including Shaiva, Shakti, Vaishnava, and Ganeshakta in Brazil? Well, I think that here in Brazil we have some difficulties. The first is that our language, because we speak only Portuguese here. It's most of people here, they don't speak English. They don't really understand anything in English, so they don't have access to good information about Hinduism and yoga in general. It's just few books that are translated to Portuguese. Most of the literature is in English, and so this is a limitation that we have here. We can't find good translations of the scriptures. It's there is some, but it's just for the mainstream books, and it's a little limited. And yeah, I think that's the literature, that the access to knowledge, because it's very difficult. I see that Brazilians, they don't really know what's happening in India. They don't really have idea what's happening. Most of the Brazilian people, they have an understand very distant because of the language. How many people follow Hinduism out of that 8%? I think that around less than 1%, maybe 1%. I know that Islamic is 1% in Brazil, and I think Hinduism is almost 1%. Because Hinduism is difficult to know, because many people don't really claim they are Hindus in the census, because mostly because of the propaganda against the Hinduism. People tend to deny they are Hindus, even they practice Hindu faiths. But they, because of the confrontation, oh, but Hindus do that, Hindus do that, so oh, but I'm not really Hindu. So they try to don't associate themselves with Hindu. So they claim that, oh, I'm Vaishnava, oh, I follow yoga, oh, I follow these or I follow that. So these create a lot of sects and divisions between the dharmic traditions, and that's the main thing to know the real number.
Alex ji, namaste. Great presentation. Lots of information.
Thank you.
Quick question. So, yoga itself can go into levels which are very deep. Kundalini Doka, raising of the chakras, opening of the third eye, the Sukshma Deha, opening, you're traveling in space and so on. Are the local Brazilians who are practicing gone that far in terms of yogic practices, or is it still very fundamental?
Yeah, you can find good sadhakas here. I have some friends from different panths. I have that they have even some ashrams. They have programs, and they have some deep sadhana practices. You can find a Kaula Tantra, Kashmiri Tantra in São Paulo. You can find some Shakta Mandir in Rio. Also in São Paulo, there is a Shaiva temple, and they are like kind of serious practitioners. They do like sadhana, they do like proper practices. Even in the temples of the ISKCON Gaudiya Math, you can find in the Bhakti Yoga, you can find they are doing the sadhana and the practices properly. But yeah, there is a lot of new age, like most of the practitioners are like new ages. They practice some yoga, they practice some mantra, but they don't really follow anything. That is the biggest influence of the Hinduism in the Indic mind, is that it's kind of indirect. It's like slowly, it's like something that people refuse to admit, but they absorb it. So it's something that, yeah, most of people don't really go deep. And but yeah, you can find some people that follow it seriously and go very deep in practice, and you can find Sanskrit scholars. You can find persons that have deep sadhana and ashrams in Brazil. Here a question: how many Hindu temples you have in Brazil? Is it possible to push temple-based economy in Brazil? Well, Yogi Hemant Panchpur, yeah, there is some temples, as I told, mostly from ISKCON. I'm not sure exactly how much, but around maybe 10, 20 from ISKCON. You can have also Ramakrishna Vedanta Society in São Paulo, but they not exactly as a temple, is more like a cultural center. And they have a Shakta temple in Rio, they have a Shaiva temple in São Paulo. I think 2 Shaiva temples in São Paulo, and other small temples all around. But it's not exactly temples. The temples mostly are from ISKCON, that they have like daily puja, they have like monks living in the ashram, and they have some everyday rituals and programmation. They're more strong, they have more followers, they have more temples and structures. The other groups, they are smaller and not so big for building temples. But there is the desire, there is it's one dream of mine to one day open a temple, a Hindu temple in Brazil. So maybe one day we can be part of this project.
But the government is sort of supportive to anything Indian. There is no opposition from the government as such.
Well, the government don't really gives any opposition. Brazil is a secular country by constitution, so it couldn't really involve directly to but they don't really facilitate. Especially our today government, it's more pro-Christian government, and all the other governments also. And it's kind of a lobby, like the Brazilian Christian lobby, that it's kind of a part of our Western society, that people used to claim themselves as secular. But if you read the Constitution of Brazil, and everything is based on Christianity, and it's kind of a lobby. But they don't really do anything against, at least not directly. I will be giving classes on Kundalini Yoga and Siddhis. How many yoga teachers will be interested in Brazil? Well, I don't know. I think that you can get some students from Brazil, but as I told, the biggest challenge is the language, because here not everybody speak English. It's most of people really don't speak English at all. So that's the main questioning to find students in Brazil. From your talk, it seems that you realize the benefits of yoga over a period of time and teaching others. Is there a way we can attend few of your sessions online? Well, that will be amazing, but unfortunately, it's not possible now. I'm planning to go to the online platform, but I'm really not good on the technical editions, and I'm trying to find a partner, something that work in this area, so I can make a good presentation, because I don't want to make something like it's amateur. I want to make something more professional. So I'm trying to find some agency or partner that works with edition of videos and this kind of work for I make a platform of learning in the internet. It's in my projects, but it's still not available.
So thank you very much, Amrtanandji. That was a wonderful presentation once again. And we wish you all the best in your sadhana in yoga, and let yoga spread all over Brazil with your help and others. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure to be here talking for this grateful audience of Hindu Swam Sevaka Sangha of Canada. It's an honor.
Namaskar. Yeah.